I
God's
guess,
presence.
yo, my mom actually said yesterday, she said, God speaks. He speaks in the wind, he speaks in the stars. And I was like, dang.
So true.
Where do you think, like when people talk about that, like hearing God's voice, how do you think you do that? Because
Well,
it's not a
it's not a physical
audible
thing. Yeah,
voice,
yeah.
right?
No, I think that, everyone hears it a different way, but I think in order to receive a message from God, there has to be some sort of isolation first. Like you have to really isolate yourself from all these things that we feel that's in the way, so we can be clear to hear His voice.
Yeah.
But as far as like how He speaks, I think He speaks through us through other people. He speaks to us through situations. It can be derived from anything. It's just it's how you receive it at the end of the day,
Yeah, yeah.
and being open to receive it.
Yeah, because sometimes someone might tell you something and you're like, ah.
Yeah,
You're like, that's God talking to you.
that could be the confirmation, and
Yeah.
that's happened so many times. For me, like you could be, going through something or having a certain situation, but then some random person will have a conversation with you, and it be that specific thing that you're
Yep.
going through,
Yep.
and it's like, oh, that's just God. He's just the messenger,
Yes. Yeah.
and the message is being sent through him.
Because we're all like little neurons in the body of God, or like
Absolutely.
atoms or blood cells, or however,
Yeah.
you could picture it,
So
talking
true.
to each other in this greater body of this universe.
But it's like you said as well. It's like us being able to recognize
Yeah.
what's from God
And
at
then
the same time.
and then what's like the other voices in the head, where it's like you can feel a difference of it's like it's just my mind playing tricks on you, maybe,
Yeah.
or
Or
another
us trying to
emotion.
convince
Or us
ourselves.
trying to
That's
convince ourselves. Yes.
yeah. And we do that often too, just as humans.
Yeah, it's like the mind is such a powerful
It
tool
is.
that we can use, but it also is
Our worst
potentially,
enemy.
yeah, our
It
worst
could be our
adversary.
worst adversary at times.
It's funny, and I mean, like I'm a big mythology nerd, and like in so many different mythologies, the intellect or the rational mind is equated with like the Lucifer archetype, which is like the highest angel in God's kingdom, the most beautiful angel with the most potential to fall and cause destruction and burn everything to the ground. And that's kind of like the mind. It's like it is potentially this
It's
beautiful thing,
yeah.
but it can also,
But it can also be the worst
Yep.
thing, I think I found that out through the pandemic.
in what way?
Yeah, I mean, I went through this crazy thing where, just us, everything going on, being isolated, and being with ourselves, having to deal with certain things. So your mind is doing all this, but then also, like with me personally, I was going through like loss too. Like one of my best friends passed away to COVID. I had family members pass away. So all these different things were affecting my mind. Like we say, the
Yeah.
mind is a powerful thing. And it just got to a point to where it was just like so much. It was so much, man. But I think during that time, it just also showed me, it really realigned me with what was important and how, sometimes we take for granted like the important things, which is life. We're only here for a short minute. So
Yeah.
it although it was a struggle for me, it also put everything back in perspective.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was the big takeaway for me. Is like, yeah, all these things are good, the accomplishments and things, but at the end of the day, it means nothing.
Wow. Yeah.
It means absolutely nothing.
Well, it's interesting too to have that perspective because also when you don't have anything, you're
Yeah.
like, well, if I have this thing and if I get this Grammy and if I
Yes.
get this,
Yeah.
and then someone like yourself who's like, I don't even know how many millions of albums, you know, like, and like you've worked with the biggest artists in the world, Beyonce, Madonna, Jay-Z, Eminem, Drake, like, yay.
Frogs. Is that frogs
Frogs?
jumping? I hope it's frogs.
So random. You see, that's a bird.
Oh, is that a bird? Okay. It was hopping, so I'm like,
It was hopping though.
and then, you know, it's still slightly dark, so. But yeah,
But-
that I completely get what you're
Yeah,
saying.
but
'cause
that perspective shift.
that perspective shift is everything is perspective, man. How we see things, you know. But yeah, that was the biggest takeaway for me, man. It's just getting back to realizing what's important and operating in that, having more balance
Yeah.
in life. Yeah.
How much of your mind are you really using, like in the creative process? Because, like, I've found that if I'm thinking about something when I'm creating or like trying to do, it's like nothing is gonna happen. Nothing good is gonna happen. Something will happen.
Yo, that's my daily struggle.
Really?
That's my daily struggle, man. And it's always when I get to the point of that, what you're saying, when I'm not thinking or I'm not overthinking,
Yeah.
everything is just brilliant. And the reason I think that is because when we're trying to consciously think of something, we're setting a certain expectation.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, and really being creative, like, we shouldn't have any expectation. It should just lead us to where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
You know, and then what we create is what it is.
Yes.
You know, as opposed to trying to set a certain expectation or a certain what am I trying to say? A certain destination.
Yes.
You know,
Well,
let the destination be what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as opposed to trying to make that into what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, because you know, it's like your heart, or I don't even know how you would describe it, but that, like, the creative thing that kind of like talks through us. We have to be empty for it to talk through us. Like, if I'm thinking about something, like if I go into the studio and it's like, I'm going to write a song about this, and it's like, it never turns out
Never
good.
turns out that way. Yeah.
But sometimes you feel like a feeling that day, and you just turn off the thinking mind, and things flow through. And I think it's like, to the degree in which you're able to turn off your thoughts and become like an empty cup, then all of a sudden that allows the source of whatever that is to flow through us. And then I'll like write lyrics or do something, I'm like, this is genius, this is amazing, but it's not me.
Yeah.
I just got out of the way.
It's you got out of the way, man, and let God allow God some room to work.
Exactly.
Like, when we're going
Exactly.
to our creative process and we got it all figured out, you leaving no room for God to come in and do what he's supposed to do within it.
Which is a much higher intelligence
much higher.
than mine.
Yep. No, that's so true.
Really.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the daily struggle with me creating. I have to constantly remind myself of that when I'm going into a creative mode. It's like, you know, just allow my ideas to flow and just be the vessel for whatever God is trying to say or speak or deliver through me. and not get so prideful where I feel that it's all me.
Yes. Even in like conversation. Like if I'm thinking about what I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna say anything.
You're not gonna say anything.
Or I'm not listening to the
Yeah.
other person speaking or listening to, whatever. And I think, especially even maybe when I was younger, like feeling like I had to like figure out what to say, or like, is it gonna be like awkward if I don't speak? And it's like, no, you can just observe and be silent. Like and then like that creates better opportunities for richer words to come out of your mouth.
Yeah. Silence is a powerful weapon. Is what it's more powerful than speaking at times. And it's just realizing that sometimes it's better to be quiet and listen than to say anything. Usually, yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
So it's just understanding.
You know what I just thought of when you said that? Is like years ago, you and I went to this Grammy party together.
Oh, yeah.
And we were on the roof of the chateau, and it was like, super Hollywood
Yeah.
Grammy. And I remember like you and I just standing there, and we were like,
Yeah,
just
chilling.
observing.
Quietest in the room.
The quietest in the room. But I felt so like comfortable within that. And then like we're like, okay, cool. Now we're gonna go.
Yeah. Make our presence known without making our presence known.
Yeah. Yeah. But I always admired that about you, like from the first time we met, which I guess people watching this won't know, but we probably
Dang, we've been knowing each other a long time, bro.
like I might have been 2011.
That sounds
Like
about
the
right.
end of 2011.
Came to the crib and stayed for like a week.
Yeah, the first time. Well, I remember because I was working with Jeff Basker at that time. And then that Power record had come out with Ye, and I was like, this is crazy. Whoever produced this. And then that's like the first time I saw your name.
That's crazy.
And I was like, there was just something that I was like, reach out to S1.
That's crazy, man.
And so I did, and for whatever reason, you're like, yeah, come to Texas.
And it's crazy because I don't just have anybody come with me. So that's how you know that it was ordained.
Yeah.
Because that it was at this point, it's beyond the music. Like we're brothers.
100%.
Even if we're not working on music, we still brothers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I remember this moment, that trip. I think it was that trip, or maybe it was like the trip after. But we were in Texas. I think it was the trip after. We were driving around Texas. We were listening to Miley Cyrus.
I remember that.
I remember. And we were like at a stoplight, and you looked at me and you're like, you're my brother. Like, we're like family. And I was like, but I felt it. Like, we kind of like knew it already.
Yeah.
But you meet people in your life, you're like, God, we've known each other in the past and for a long time.
Yeah.
I was like, I always remember that memory because I was like, yeah.
No, definitely, man. It's just, that was good times, man. Like I say, it was just us building a brotherhood through music, obviously, but
it wasn't even about it.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like
more.
It was so much more than that, man. And even now, I always I never of course talent is everything, and you want to work with talented people, but man, people's heart is like that's always the thing for me. Like you can't just be talented and be like this bad person.
No, but I don't think it works out that way.
Yeah, and I'm so and it's a blessing and a testament because as I look at everyone around me now, it's just all like-minded individuals, and everybody has a good heart, and everybody's happy for others, and we work well together, and it's all about just being a good human being and impacting people and being an inspiration to people, you know. And yeah, that's I think that's more important at the end of the day, you know, is to surround yourself around like-minded individuals. Like you do the same thing. Like people that you around, like they're just good people. You can tell it. But you know, I know you've been around bad people too,
Yeah.
and you were able to recognize that
Yeah.
and was like, nope.
Sometimes it took me a little while.
Yeah, and it takes us a while.
Yeah.
But you were able to get a lesson from that and realize this is not the type of people I want to be
Yeah.
around. Like
Yeah.
this is not going to give me longevity.
And you develop a radar to know
To
quicker.
notice. Yes.
Now I can like look at a picture and I can be like, something's off in the eyes.
Like, nope.
Yeah. And not even in a like they still have the potential to be amazing, but at this point in our evolution, it's not aligned.
We can feel people's spirit, man.
Yeah, and I think we both have this ability to see the good also.
Yeah.
And I think that at times, like, at least for me, like, you can see the good in someone, but also being able to recognize the other spirits within, and
Yeah.
and then loving that God self within them.
Yeah, because it's not never in a judgmental
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
You know,
But
but it's just
You gotta
noticing
be
that.
careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful, man.
Yeah.
And just having people that's gonna push you, people that's gonna help you grow,
Yeah.
people you can learn from. I posted the other day on my IG. It was something like, "Life is hard already. I don't want people around me that's gonna make it worse." You know,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much how I move. Like it's already hard. We already have struggles. We're already trying to problem solve everyday life situations.
Yeah.
So you don't want anyone around you that's gonna drain or take you down further than where you're already at. You want someone that's gonna uplift you.
Yes.
You want someone that's positive and that's gonna push you and inspire you and impact you in some type of way that everyone can move forward and everyone can grow from it and evolve. You know, so yeah, I think that's a true thing.
You're such an example of like, dude, you just light up every room that you enter, and it's not a coincidence that many of the biggest artists in the world like want you around them, because like you bring out things in people because you like can look deeply into someone's soul and to see them, and like, yes, you're a creative genius and you're great at what you do, but it's even beyond that, because you could be the greatest producer in the world, but if you're an asshole,
It makes no difference. No one wants to be around. Yeah, no one would deal with you.
And so you have that. You're one of the greatest to ever do it. And then you're also one of the kindest, most humble, genuine human beings. So I
Appreciate
mean,
that, man.
it's just, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think I'm that way by default. That's just my whole being, you know, based on how I was raised and you know, just how I was brought up. But then also there's been situations to where I was constantly reminded I have to be that individual. I have to be that positive light, because you never know who is needing that at the moment. You know, I actually remember being, when I first started working with Kanye back in 2009, And I was in Hawaii with him for like 2 weeks. And I remember getting back home, and the first email I got from him was from Kanye, and it was like, yo, S1, appreciate you coming out. I really love your spirit. And that right there touched me, because that was in a moment too to where I was kind of trying to figure out, you know, well, being honest, I was being attacked by, like different people who say I shouldn't be working with certain like secular artists and stuff. And it started like to bother me. But getting that email, and then also like being around Beyonce and hearing her say that and hearing other people say that, it's like, oh, okay, it's cool for me to work with it. As long as I'm the same person,
Yes.
like, you never know who you're affecting and whose life you're changing by them just observing how you're living.
Yes.
And by just your energy. So it really solidified for me that it's okay.
But that in and of itself is really difficult to do, because, one could imagine that you're standing in the room with Beyonce and Jay-Z, and somebody might try to be like, okay, I have to be like really cool now, or start thinking in their head, I have to change or be this or that, or just the pressure's on now. But to remain centered in who you are and continue to be that is such a powerful, I was gonna say weapon, but it's not really a weapon. It's a superpower.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to just me always, like, at the end of the day, I don't care about who you are, what you've accomplished.
Yeah.
And not in a mean way. It's just, I know that stuff at the end of the day really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I think with me going in with that perspective, it keeps me grounded and centered.
Well, and you also, from knowing you, you treat everybody the same, whether you're in the studio with Ye or you're talking to the person at Starbucks.
Super important.
You speak the exact same way.
What else working?
I know, I was like, oh my goodness. What is the hardest decision you've had to make to fulfill your destiny?
Ooh. The hardest decision that I've had to make. Quitting my 9-to-5 corporate job back in 2008 that I desperately needed because I had a wife and 2 boys to take care of. Quitting that job to pursue my dreams.
Wow.
That was probably one of the hardest decisions, because there was so much fear in making that decision. So I had to plow through that fear. And the main reason I was able to plow through that was my wife, because she saw the same vision I saw.
Wow.
And when I had the conversation about, like, yo, I think I need to go 100% in this, she was like, I feel you do too.
Wow.
And she was like, let's figure it out. Let's take a year. Before you quit, let's take a year, pay bills off, save money, and then go full speed. And that's exactly what we did, and it turned out.
Man. Where were you working?
I was working at City Capital.
What is
City
that?
Corp.
Is that a bank?
It was basically like a bank. I was in collections department, and I was collecting on bobcats and construction equipment.
Wow. What a different life.
Oh gosh, this workout.
How did you know that like that was what you're supposed to do? Was quit.
Because music was that one thing that no one had to make me do. And I just
You just wanted to do it.
I just wanted to do it, and I always found myself doing it regardless of what I was going through and without anybody having to make me do it. You know, not getting paid for it, but I just still wanted to do it. So I knew then that that was my passion.
Yeah. Dang, that's a good answer.
What's been the hardest thing for you as far as making your dream come true?
Getting out of my way.
In what sense?
I think a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so turning off that, like we were talking about earlier, turning off my mind and just trusting that if I do that and I follow my heart and intuition and empty that space, that things will flow through. And it's there's been so many different ways in which that's applied, like with managers in the past or record labels or all these other things, and on paper it seemed like the good things, but there was something in here or in here that was like, this doesn't feel right. But I could convince myself that it was the right thing. And I did that so often. And I did that with making music. And I also like, I wanted to be successful so bad because I wanted to be liked, and I wanted to like all stemming back from like really childhood. It was just like,
so you compromise with those things.
not even knowing I was
Not even knowing.
compromising though. It was just the place that I was creating from was, I want this to be successful. So I was like almost pushing that away because it was all just thinking about that. And I feel like in the last few years, it's like just let go and allow whatever's supposed to come through to come through. And whatever the outcome is of that, it's good. And to tell the truth to the best of my ability. First to myself. What am I actually feeling? What is actually going on? And then tell the truth to others with that, to the best of my ability. Because sometimes it's difficult to know what the truth is, but to the best of my ability, speak the truth to myself and to others. And that's been a big life changer. And being able to silence my mind enough
to get through to that truth.
To get through to that truth.
You know? And it's like you said too, it's flowing with the water instead of trying to go against the flow of the water.
Yes.
You know, and often we do that, you know, not even knowing we're doing it. Like you say, you feel like it's supposed to be this way, so I'm just gonna go. But like, if you're not coming from this place, then you're gonna always be swimming upstream. As opposed to flowing downstream.
Yes, and it's so hard because you're swimming
It's
up
hard,
the stream
bro.
and you're like, I'm working harder than anybody else. I'm outworking everyone.
And it feels like you're going nowhere. You're on this
going
treadmill.
nowhere. And you see everyone else. You know,
and
just
that's another thing too. We're easily distracted by other people's success. You know, just seeing it. And you know, I think it's just a human thing because I see it, but I'm always happy for anyone, no matter what situation I'm in, no matter if I'm going through things, and I may not be at the top in this season of my life, but if someone else is, I'm always genuinely happy because I know what it takes to get there. I've experienced the highs, I've experienced the lows, and I'm glad I've experienced it because I know that the overall journey is like this. It's never like this. It's never linear.
No.
It's never linear.
It's like a
It's
wave, like a
it's like a
sound
wave,
wave.
man. And I'm so thankful that I was able to experience all the levels of that throughout my career, because I know when I'm at a low, it's just for a season.
Yeah.
Keep working, stay focused, and at some point you're gonna get back to where you want to be.
Right. But that perspective is so huge.
It is. It's really been. That's where a lot of my longevity has come from, in knowing that I'm not gonna always be at the top. I'm not gonna always be on this album or that album, but it's okay. Keep working, stay focused, stay aligned with where you're at, and at some point in God's timing, you'll be back. And it's just been a constant this
Yeah.
for the last like 15 years.
And even just observing it from the outside, it's like it's like there's times I'm like, dang, how is it? S1's on every single album.
You know
this
what's
year.
That's so crazy that you say that, because a few weeks ago I was telling someone that, man, people see like these albums I've been on, but they don't realize the 50 albums that I didn't make, or the 100 albums that I didn't make that I was working on.
Yeah.
So they only seeing the little nuggets of albums that I made,
Right.
which is cool, but they don't see the 50 failures before the one win.
Yeah.
And it's in me knowing that, that's how I operate. It's like, okay, I'm gonna have to go through some L's before I get the win.
Yeah.
But if I gotta go through these L's, let's go ahead and get them over with so I can get to
But
that.
it's not even a loss, because
It's not a loss.
It's
It's
you
still
learn
you learn,
something
you've growing in that process
Yeah.
of the L's,
yeah.
and you can't cheat time and experience. You can't cheat it. You have to go through that, because that experience is what's going to take you to the next level, and it's also going to prepare you for that next level when you get there.
You can't cheat time and experience.
You can't cheat it. Yeah,
You can't.
you can't.
I feel that on my journey too. Like it's been a long.
Yeah, I know.
It's been a long journey.
I've seen it, so that's why every time I see you doing great things, I'm like, yes, because I know what you went through to get that,
Yeah.
and I know what you have to go through,
Yeah.
and that's the difference, man.
Yeah.
That's the difference, because you can't get to that without going through certain things.
And I don't know if you'd want to,
Yeah.
because having that perspective is
Like, who would want to go through that?
Yeah.
Who would want to go through anything like that?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's beautiful when you can look back and be like, wow.
I made it through.
I did that. Yeah, I made it through.
And you didn't throw in the towel in the process of going through that.
Yeah.
Because so many do.
Or compromise.
Or compromise.
Who you are.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I did at times.
But you was able to come back from it. You was able to learn from it.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the key, is learning, like, okay, yeah, I compromised in this situation, but
And look where that led.
look where that led, so I won't do that. I know not to do that
Never
anymore.
do that again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the beauty.
And I think I have to learn things the hard way sometimes.
Yeah.
And
We
sometimes
all do. Yeah. Yeah. You don't realize that the stove is hot until you touch it sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, mom and dad can tell you, hey, this stove is hot,
And
but
like, you
until
don't
you
know
touch
anything,
it, yeah.
Mom.
Yeah, so sometimes we have to
Yeah.
go through that just to be able to we have to experience it to know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro.
I love you, man.
I love you too, dude.